Hi everyone, Nigel Saunders here. Today I'm going to be pruning up and repotting my little rubber tree planting here. It's easy to neglect these small plantings. They're growing fine, but you've got to keep those roots under control. Otherwise they circle around the pots, they thicken up and you lose all the fine roots and they're replaced by big thick roots in the pot that don't contribute to the vigor of the tree. I'm trying to keep this tree small. I've used it as an accent plant in a few shows and it works really well. I always like my accent plants to have larger leaves than the actual bonsai that it's going with because it makes the bonsai leaves look smaller. So I really like it as an accent plant, and maybe someday, it'll be its own little tree. Here is a look at the rubber trees. So there's 3 trees in this planting, and I pruned them several times and they're starting to get some good branching and some character to the trunks. The leaves are staying quite small. As it grows they get larger and larger, but you can see some of the leaves are quite tiny on it. The root system is starting to circle the pot, so it needs repotting, and if I look underneath I can see roots coming out the drainage hole. And when that happens, sometimes it can clog up the drainage of the pot. You get a mass of roots in the bottom of the pot and it stops it draining very well. So it's a good idea to repot even small bonsai every couple of years to keep them healthy. I'm going to start today by pruning up the trees. So I always like to leave some leaves on the trunk lines and branches if I can. And I have 2 leaves, one fanning out to the front of the planting. This is approximately the front, somewhere around here. And I've got another leaf here that's fanning out. So I can prune just above that. So here I go. Just like that. Next is this branch coming out the side, and I want it fanning out. So I've got a leaf here and one back here, so I can come just above that and prune it off right there. I have a little branch coming out the front of the planting, which is fine. If I rotate the front a bit, it's more of a side branch, so that's good. So I think that's it for that tree. Now I could defoliate it also and get, smaller leaves come in. But I think I'll wait. I think I'll wait for the new growth to come in and then I'll prune the old leaves off. So on this branch, I have a leaf up the back, one out the front, so I can prune above that. Like that. And then this back branch here, again, I think I'll come in right here where the internodes are small and compact and prune off that more vigorous upper growth. And then I just have the tree out the back here. So I'll want that fanning out also. So I've got some leaves down here, so I'll prune it right here, taking the top off. I'll also remove this leaf that's on the inside here. It's kind of blocking the light getting to the others. And I'll also remove this leaf on the inside here and this one here, just to ensure all the buds get light. So now you can see all the leaves are fanning out and everything's getting good light. So that is it for the pruning of the trees. You can see they're starting to thicken up and get some character to them. I really like this planting. I like small trees. They're really awesome. You can see on the tree where I've cut the branches or trunks, there's white latex oozing out, and that seals the cuts up. You don't need a wound sealant on these rubber trees. They do it all by themselves. And if you have a latex allergy, make sure you wear gloves and don't touch the sap. Once again, I'll spray my scissors with soap and water, cleaning the latex off the blades. Trying to keep these scissors as nice as possible because they're awesome. And these are from Go Bonsai. They're from Quebec, Canada. And then I will get my olive oil and just wipe the blades down with olive oil. Keep them from rusting and keep them nice. I'm going to take the trees out of the pot now. So I'll just make sure it's loosened up on the edges here. And here it comes. So there's a look. It's not, totally root bound, which is good. But you can always correct roots. So the next step is to start raking out the soil from the roots and uncombing the roots, or untangling the roots, I mean. I can see some thick roots here. So rubber trees the scientific name is Ficus elastica. And long ago they used to make rubber from the sap of these trees, but they have a better tree now they use, so they're not really harvested for rubber anymore. They're I guess mainly a house plant, but they do exist as giant trees in nature. And yeah, there's some real beauties out there. I'll show you some pictures off the internet of some of the giant rubber trees that are growing in cities and nature while I work on the roots, combing them out. So you can see rubber trees grow into giant, fantastic trees with aerial roots and giant crowns. Yeah, they're a pretty awesome tree. And I don't see many as bonsai because they naturally have quite a large leaf, but you can reduce them quite nicely. And especially if you make, a larger to large to medium-sized bonsai, you can get the leaf size really good on them, so it looks like any other ficus in scale, looking very miniature. And the good thing about these Ficus elastica is, here in Canada anyway, you can get them pretty well at any nursery. They all sell them as houseplants. And there's a lot of different varieties of them. These ones have the greener leaves, but you can get the other ones, like I have indoors, with the purple leaves and the red stems. And there's a lot of different kinds of Ficus elastica you can get. Okay, let's you can see the roots growing right through the drainage screen. And I think the only way I'm going to get the drainage screen out is to cut that root off. So here I go. It's grown through the screening and thickened up. That's got it. So now I should be able to get the drainage screen off the bottom here. Cut a few roots that are going through the drainage screen there, and then I can comb out the bottom here. Okay, so that's pretty well got the soil removed from the root system. So the next step, I'll wash the roots, getting all the remainder of the soil out. And then I'll clean up and we'll come back and do the root pruning. Here is a look at the root system. So the trees are definitely fused together now. I mean, I could separate them by prying, but I like the arrangement. I think it's good. So the first problem I notice is there's a root sticking up here. It doesn't flow down into the soil. So that has to be corrected. You can see it grows from this tree over here, kind of grows a little bit downhill, and then it kind of goes horizontal, then uphill here. So I would need to at least prune it off to here. So here I go. Trying not to damage the root behind it. So that one's gone. And I could nibble that away a bit. Just to bring it a little more flush. Like that. That looks good. Next, I have a root here. The radial direction is my scissors, and it's cranked way over here. I have some roots coming off of it that are more radial, so I'm going to remove this portion of it. I think I've got it there. Maybe I have to cut a little deeper underneath here. Something's holding it in place. Yeah. I think it's a root on the bottom here. Come on. Like that. And I'll also clean that up, that cut point, getting it a little more flush so it heals nicely. I'm going to take it right back. Yeah. It was just too thick going the wrong direction. Another root in here. There's a few fine roots growing over top of this root base that I'm going to get rid of. Like that. I could probably take this back even a bit further. Like that. And going around the tree, these roots are good. I have a root here that grows from this tree that needs to be pruned away. It's crossing all the trunks growing in between them. I hope you can see what I'm doing here. It's hard to video these small trees. There's a root here. You can see it's sticking up. That's got to go. There's a root that's growing from in between these trees here. I want to get rid of that. It's not growing radially. And a few other fine roots in here also that need to come out. There's a root here that's hit the edge of the pot. It needs to be pruned back to keep it flowing radially. This one could be pruned back. This one. Root tips can get pruned back. Now here I have, just like branches on a tree, you don't want, let me just get rid of these root hairs here. Just like branches on a tree, you don't want threes. You want it dividing from 1 to 2 if possible. So my radial direction is here, so I'm going to take off this little one. It's kind of growing from the top of the root anyway. This one needs untangling, like that. That gets it a little more radial. A few more roots growing in here I need to prune away. Okay, let's keep going around here. This root's looking good. There's a few hairs that aren't flowing, or root hairs, or
or root tips. I want to keep everything radial if possible, so I'm going to take off some of these ones on the outer edge here. Like that. I think my scissors are dull and they don't close right at the tip. This one's sticking up. I can prune that away. Yeah, I gotta get these scissors working better. This one needs to be pruned away. It's sticking up. This one too. This one's going off the radial direction. I can get pruned away. Prune the tips of some of these. Just to prune them back so they fit in the pot really nicely. Now, I'm not sure about that root. It's radial, but I guess it's okay. Maybe the next time I repot it, there'll be some solutions will come where I can do some more pruning on that root. It's just a little thick and straight and long and not the greatest. Even this one's getting very bulbous here. Something to always watch for in ficus is they get, these bulbous roots. So you're always fighting keeping them fine and flowing. They store water in these roots. That's why they grow bulbs like that. Yeah, I can't really remove that root because I don't know how much else there is on this tree. So I think, that's got kind of my surface roots in decent shape. So let's go underneath now and I can reduce this back. Any of these roots going straight down, I can prune back. So when you have a small tree in a small pot, you want to keep just fine roots in the pot. That's why I'm pruning this one back. Because if you have thick woody roots, all they're doing is taking up space that otherwise could be used by fine roots which feed the tree. The thick roots don't. These don't absorb water and nutrients. It's just the thick woody part. It's only at the tips that it takes in nutrients. So if you can avoid, big thick roots in the pot and replace them with fine roots, your tree will be healthier and more vigorous. So that's got the bottom pruned and the top. So I think, other than maybe, a quick profile prune to reduce the roots back so they're not hitting the edge of the pot, I think that's got it. Yeah. Yep, that's all I can do with this repotting, and that's quite enough. So next, I've got to decide, do I want to put it back in the same pot? It's a nice pot. It was made by one of our club members, Tom and Yuko. That's what it says, Tom and Yuko. They were a couple in the club who had a pottery studio, so they made this pot. So it's quite a sentimental pot. It's very old now. That pot is, it's got to be 20 years old. But would a better pot suit the tree is the question. I mean, it's a good size, it's a good color. It might look better in a glazed pot, this planting. So underneath the leaves there's some pinkish kind of red color, if you look on the underside. So I'll look around and see if I can find a pot that would suit it even better, but I'm thinking this might be the pot. Here's a look at the amount of roots I took off. Some thick ones compared to what's left. And I went out looking for small pots, and I have 4 here. I've got a reddish colored one, a green one, cream colored one, and this Aran pot, which is kind of multicolored. I got this Aran pot from, it was a gift from the Toronto Bonsai Society, and I'm trying to think why they gave it to me. I think it was for doing a presentation. Yeah. So let's try it out. Let's see what looks the best. The original pot it was in, or maybe one of these 4 new pots here. There's the tree in the original pot. So let's try out the green one now. I think that's too bright a green. It takes away from the green color of the leaves. It's too colorful. So that's not working. The Aran pot looks pretty good. I can't really complain about that. I got the right, I think that's a better front for the tree right there. It kind of changes it because it looks more like a landscape now and makes this more like a bonsai rather than an accent plant, which can be good. The other choice is the red pot. Let's try that one out. That does tone nicely with the red on the leaves, and it's small. It's still like an accent plant. So I have a difficult decision. I've got this pot actually looks really good with it. It really tones with the leaves nicely. I think that's pretty magical actually. It's a good size too. It really shows the tree doesn't look lost in the pot, whereas the Aran pot, you know, it's a big pot, a small tree. It still looks good, but as I said, it looks more like a landscape rather than just a bonsai, I guess. And the original pot, I think it's going to be the red pot. And this isn't an expensive pot, but I mean it's nice. I think I got it at the thrift store. But yeah, when it's the right color, the right size. Oh, I didn't try the cream pot. Let's try that. I think it'll be even bigger than the Aran pot, and yeah, it looks good, but again, I think it's too big. I think this is the pot for it right here. It fits the root system really nicely. So, into the red pot it goes. So I have a Chris Marshall drainage screen. I'll get some soil and build up a base layer. So I'll need, yeah, almost, I'd say 3/4 full, and then the tree will sit on top of that. Okay, in goes my base layer of soil. Pile it up in the middle, and then I'll position the tree. So, oh, I should check. Make sure there's not a better front to the pot. If this is the front of the pot or this side. I think this side. The foot is a little nicer. This side, the foot is more covered with glaze. Yeah, so I'm going to pick this as the front. So now the tree can be positioned. And I want the larger tree out the front. I had this as the front before, but I'm thinking more like this now. Maybe. Yeah, I think something like this. So I want to get my height nice, so you know you're seeing part of the root flare. I'll show you a front view. So here would be the front of the tree. Or trees. I think that looks good. And I'll want to offset it in the pot just a bit to the right hand side here, because I have the two trunks going off to the left side. So it kind of balances the composition. I think that is good. So next, I will arrange the roots, making sure they're all spread out nice and radial in the pot. They look pretty good. And then I'll start adding soil. Kind of need my spoon for this. It's a little hard to do this. I do have a spoon here somewhere. Right here. My bamboo spoon. The spoon is styled to look like bamboo. It's kind of cool. I saw that at a thrift store and I said, oh, that'd be a good spoon for bonsai. And that was many, many years ago. Okay, so I'm going to start working that soil into the root system before I top it off for the final height. Tree feels firm in the pot. Okay, well that is planted, and oh, there's a pill bug crawling across the surface. Come on, you can go somewhere else. I really like that. I don't know. I'm very excited about this small bonsai. I think it looks really cool. Yeah. Okay, next step is to water the tree. All right, here I go with the water. Give it a good thorough soaking. Here's a look at the tree now. So here's the front, coming around to the right hand side, to the back of the tree, to the left hand side, and back to the front. I shouldn't be so excited over a little rubber tree, but I am. I really like this composition, and I think it has a good future ahead of it. I'll try and develop it into something really nice, you know, nice branch structure and thick trunks and aerial roots maybe someday. Yeah, it'll be interesting following this tree into the far future. So now it's time for today's updates. Why, here's Kitty. Hi. You follow me around everywhere, don't you? Yes, you do. He even waits outside the greenhouse while I'm videoing, in case I come out and pet him. You're a real sucky cat. Yes, you are. These orange cats, I think they're just born sucky cats. Hey? Yeah, but you're good. You're a good guy. Loves getting petted. So last night, we had temperatures below freezing. So when I came out this morning, I felt all the surfaces of the pots, and they were crusty on top, but they didn't freeze all the way through. It was only a surface layer of ice on them. So you can see a lot of them have lost all their leaves now. So it'll be time to prune up these elms soon. And, you know, everything else. There's lots of work to keep me busy over the winter. But today is a beautiful day, sunny day. A high of 12 degrees Celsius, which is maybe 54 degrees Fahrenheit, somewhere around there. The larch forest continues to look good. I'm getting some nice fall colors on the royal oaks. And an interesting thing about the royal oaks I got this shoot from the base of the tree here, and the leaf size is totally different. It's more like a regular English oak. You can see the comparison. These are very tiny, kind of, I don't know, a different leaf shape. These are longer and skinnier. So it must be, you know, this one branch is reverted to a different genetics. So I'll definitely have to cut that off. And the tree, you know, it grew really, really tall over the summer. Even though it's in a bonsai pot, it really grew tall. And you can see even these top leaves seem to be the other kind. They're green still, whereas all the royal oak leaves are yellow. So it's interesting, you know, I'm getting traces of maybe the original genetics on these trees. The Austrian pine is doing really, really well. It's looking good. It survived its repotting this spring. Yeah, it's looking really nice. I've got all kinds of good candles forming on it already. Yeah, doing well. Over here I have, I think it was a $50 challenge juniper. And it was a big bush and I pruned it up. And I didn't like the structure at all on it. And some trees grow on you, and this one's just, I don't know. I don't like it at all. So that just means I've got to prune it and grow it until I do like it. So there's lots of potential. So that'll be coming on a video where I'm going to prune it up once again. It sure grew well over the summer. It's like gotten really bushy again. So that was good to see. It's nice and healthy. Yeah, so that'll be coming up. I've got to turn this tree that I do not like at all into a tree that I do like. I moved the Sarissa from the greenhouse, protected last night, outside today, even though it's a fairly cool day, but it's getting full sun. And it keeps the tree healthy, even though it's cool. It gets sunlight on all the leaves. There's a nice breeze blowing through it. Yeah, it keeps it healthy. So the longer I can keep it outside in the daytime, the shorter the winter is, and the better it'll do for next spring. The trees in the backyard are losing their leaves fast. You can see the maple here. It's starting to reveal the structure of the maple. That beautiful flowing branch structure. The pear tree still has its leaves on here. Yeah, but everything's going to be naked in another couple of weeks and we'll be into the winter silhouettes. The big walnut tree at the back of the yard here has pretty well lost all its leaves. So every morning I have to come out. You know, the trees are covered in fallen leaves. I have to pick them all off so they get sunlight. Yeah, that's a task I do every morning. Watering and picking leaves off trees.
I really like my little rubber trees. I'll make sure I keep them warm with good light so they grow and recover after this pruning operation. And that's all for today. I'm Nigel Saunders. Thanks for joining me in the Bonsai Zone.